One thing about expanding this, doing a YouTube video from 10 minutes to 15 is you learn to try to get everything in one shot. Sometimes you can't do it. So all this teaches you is learn to talk faster. So that's what I'll do. My second take on this. First, as I said before, the first video I've had to do since Sunday. Coming back from the Cavs game, watching the Super Bowl. So I'll do observations here. As far as the Cavs game itself, it was enjoyable. Hey, we shut out the Penguins. Ha ha. The only bad part of that was Penguins decided they wanted to send a message to Ovechkin to say, hey, you know what? Just because David Steckel took Crosby out on New Year's Day, we'll send a message to you. And clearly they saw it. I mean, clearly everybody saw this was blatant. And yet they don't call a 5-minute major. It's not even a misconduct. Yeah. What are you going to do? The only thing I can honestly tell you is that at least they play on the 21st. Interesting, I got the new TV guide today in the mail and noticed that the Cavs will be on Versus for the next 2 Mondays. So it'll be this coming Monday and then on the 21st. Uh, the 21st is when they do the rematch with the Penguins in Pittsburgh. So, so I guess I'll word it away. Rose Marlin, I got your message and I sent you one back. So, it's the 21st. Okay, let me think here. Um, let's see if I can do it quick here. I'm trying to remember. I cannot remember the guy who sent me the message about Michael Young and whether the Nationals would trade for him. I said that's not going to happen because Michael Young becomes a 10-5 guy. For those who don't understand, that means you've done 10 years in the major league. 10, 10 years of major league service is how they define it. Uh, and it would happen in May that he would hit that mark of 10 years and 5 straight years, 5 consecutive years with the same club. So he could veto any trade that they try to offer. So no, that's not going to happen. They can probably, the Rangers would probably just be. You'd have to be dumb not to, dumb to let this guy get away. He helped get you to a World Series. So, but like I said before, you're not going to see the Nationals make an effort. I mean, we've got a second baseman in Danny Espinosa. So that should end that conversation. So let's think here. Oh, it was interesting with the Cavs game. My brother warned me when we were there. He warned me. He said you got to listen for the chicken dance. Now I can't do the sound here because I don't know. I couldn't even try to simulate it. If you're familiar with the chicken dance, then you probably know how it goes. But it was just nice. You hear the music stop and the crowd basically goes, "The Penguins suck." You know, I'm sure they probably play it there in Pittsburgh when the Cavs show up there, or the Flyers, or whatever, and you do the same thing. So what else is new? But like I said, at least at least I was given a heads up on it. Uh, that was fun though. Leaving. We were going back. We were leaving and trying to get back on the metro. And we passed a few Caps fans with these nice little stuffed penguins with hangman's noose. Yeah, it's that vicious, folks. Believe me, it's funny. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The Super Bowl. I will get to talk about this. Game itself kept everybody interested. You really did not know until the very end how this was going to turn out, because I guess like everybody else, I was starting to believe that this was going to be an absolute rout on the part of the Packers. And when the second half, the real Steelers show up. I mean, think about it. Ben Roethlisberger almost pulled this fucker out. And yet they're busy cutting him a new one because, hey, he decided to go bar hopping on Tuesday night. You know, if he had pulled this thing out of his ass, they'd be they'd be nominating him for sainthood. But, uh, but everything leading up to the Super Bowl in and of itself, uh, the weather nobody has control over. You know, I told in the previous video about, the ice falling off the roof and, coming on the ground. 6 people were seriously injured. So that's the least, and of course, the fact of seeing terrible towels that people waved inside the stadium, you think that would have been the worst of Jerry Jones' nightmares. No, it was just the start. How do you explain this with 1,000 people who had tickets and there's no seats because you put these things in on such short notice? The fire marshal couldn't inspect it properly, so the seats had to be taken out. And here you have like 1,000 people or so that just were herded one way or another. Someone was forced to sit outside, look at a big screen. Those that were actually inside and did not have seats, they pinned you up there in a little uh, pen area. And the only thing that would have been appropriate is Frankie Lane singing the Rawhide theme. But then everything else that just happened. I got back, and by the way, I got back Sunday before 6 o'clock, and I did not watch the pregame show. I have a policy, I do not look at a Super Bowl pregame show. If you're the NFL Network, how do you justify a 9-hour pregame show? How? How much shit can you do in 9 hours without being repetitive? Scale it back. 2 hours is enough. You know who's playing. You know who may not be suiting up. 2 hours is enough to do a pregame show. And it's not just the NFL Network. It's whoever else does this, whether it's Fox or NBC or whatever. Scale this shit back, please. 2 hours. That's all you get. Believe me, you can get it all done in 2 hours. Why do you need 9? Once again, and then you get the worst part, which is almost before the game starts, and you get Christina Aguilera doing the national anthem. How do you miss the word ramparts? I swear, you wind up hearing this, and you don't even hear the word ramparts. And, here you go. I understand, by the way, she's from, suburban Pittsburgh, so that's why she got to do this, I'm guessing. But you catch holy hell for that. But there were people that pointed out she had done the national anthem before, I think, 2 games for the World Series, or at least 1 game for the World Series. So it's not like you don't really know the words, but I don't know if you accept it. I don't know if you accept the explanation of, it was nerves or whatever. That's not going to fly. You know the words, you know the words. It's just, you have to do the national anthem. There's a certain way you really do it, and not everybody can do it. But I'm not going to stand here and obsess on that. The halftime show. Now, the only Black Eyed Peas song I know or familiar with is "Let's Get It Started," which is a nice little song in and of itself. This halftime show, I didn't get it. I'm sorry. Granted, Stacey Ferguson is a hot-looking piece of ass, but I just didn't get it. I didn't get that. I didn't get with this whole idea of everybody jumping around. I don't know. Once again, you just feel like the NFL decided to spread their legs like Parisian whores and, hoard themselves out to MTV. Here's a message I got for Roger Goodell. Why don't you ask the guy who had the job before you? Do the words wardrobe malfunction mean anything? the last time that you had the NFL basically spread their legs for MTV, look where it got them. And you have to understand even why they go on MTV in the first place back in the 90s. You know, it was because MTV would counter program with Beavis and Butthead or Celebrity Deathmatch, and you had the USA Network counter program with wrestling, and you had Fox for Super Bowl 26. They counter program with a Living Color, doing bet on football. So this is why the NFL basically hoard for MTV to take over. And as I said, but remember what happened. So, you know, placating my generation by putting on The Who, putting on Paul McCartney, putting on Elton John, Billy Joel, putting on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I think I got it right. Yeah. And Rolling Stones and all that. It's all fine and dandy. I mean, it placates my generation. But the bottom line is, regardless of what demographic we're talking about, the NFL is going to alienate people. So you have no idea what they're going to do. But I have one final message for the NFL. If you think that you even contemplate the idea of putting another Super Bowl in there, don't do it. You're going to do a cold weather Super Bowl, you need to do it at FedEx. After all, it is our nation's capital. We don't stay, I mean, look, as much as I detest Dan Snyder, at least he doesn't stand there and browbeat Roger Goodell the way that you heard people there in New York, you know, browbeat them into giving a Super Bowl there for the new Meadowlands Stadium. You know, that's just me. Okay, that's just me. I just thought I'd put it out there and take what you want to take. One final football related note while I'm thinking on it. Apparently this Friday, the Redskins are basically saying Santana Moss adios. You know, so we'll see what happens there. Although, again, I wonder, why do you even bother doing the scouting combine and doing the draft when you don't have a collective bargaining agreement and you're going to lock out the players in the fall anyway? You know, I just don't see, I don't get the logic here, okay? Just defies logic to me. Oh well, I think I'm pretty much talked out. I think I got everything in a little quicker than I would. So we will see all of you the next time I do a video. God knows when that will be. So, and once again, picture phrases because try to move this. God. Oh, here we go. Keep moving. Here we go. It takes a while, folks. Anyway, we'll catch up to you when I get around to doing another one of these. So, I better stop while I have a chance here. We'll see you all when I get around to making one, however the case may be. So, adios, people, and we'll see you soon.